Morning, everybody. Welcome back. I know it's been a while since you've seen us on here. I think May was the last video we put up, getting ready to go to Pawnee for the show. And I know in the end of that video, I promised you guys I'd get you some footage from the show, and I'm sorry, I was not able to do that. I took all those parts over for the swap meet, and I spent my whole weekend selling parts. I mean, I got there Thursday and unloaded the tractor, pulled down, parked it, pulled the pickup and trailer down there to the swap meet section, started unloading parts out of the pickup, putting them on the trailer, and I had guys walking up to me asking me, do you have this? Do you have that? Yes, I do. It's in the pickup. Give me a minute. I mean, I was selling parts faster than I could get them out of the pickup. And it was a good weekend, but I didn't even get to enjoy the show. I think I saw my tractor once after I unloaded it until I went back and loaded it up Saturday afternoon to bring it home. And came home with very little of what I took. So I was very, very happy with how the swap meet went, but it came at the cost of not getting to enjoy the tractor show. So anyway, I apologize for not getting video footage of the Pawnee tractor show. There are a few videos out there if you guys want to search for it. There were some other people around that were filming some of the activities at the show. I watched a couple of them last night, actually, and it's the only way I even got to enjoy the show was watching everybody else's videos. But anyway, we come back from that and haven't really been doing a whole lot around here. It's been hot and humid. We've gotten about double the amount of rain this year than what we're used to, which, hey, I'm happy for. I mean, the grass is green out here. There's places it's knee high out in the pasture. So very happy and very thankful for the rain we've got, but we're not used to the humidity, and it's kind of hard on a guy. But so we haven't been doing a whole lot in the shop because of that. But today we're going to go in here. Project I've got going right now, I've got to get it done. We traded for a pickup here last week, and well, I'll just start by saying for the last 2 years in the winter when we're feeding cows, putting out hay every year, we've been borrowing my grandpa's feed pickup, and I want to thank him again for that. Appreciate him letting us use it. But I decided that this year we needed our own feed pickup. It was a pain going by his house after work, getting his, coming out here, taking it back, and then if he's using it and I need it, one of us always waiting on the other. So I just went ahead and started looking for one and found one last week. Did some trading with a buddy of mine on it. It's a 92 Chevy, 3/4 ton, 4-wheel drive, regular cab, just your basic old farm truck. It's got a good bale bed on it. When I drove it home, well, even before I drove it home, when I walked up there and looked at it, I knew something was wrong because the driver's side front tire was leaning about that much of an angle, and passenger side was about like that. And when I got in it and fired it up, drove it home, the thing runs great. I mean, it runs great. It's got a 5-speed in it, shifts smoothly, clutch feels good, but it was all over the road. And got it home, crawled underneath it. And, I work as a mechanic, and I see a lot of front suspension work at the shop where I work at. We're a tire and alignment shop, so I do a lot of front end work. I'm here to tell you right now, that pickup sitting in the shop is by far the worst Chevrolet front suspension I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was bad. Ball joints were gone. The upper control arm bushings on the driver's side, nothing. There was no bushing left. It was just the hole and the bolt went through it. Idler arm was about to fall off of it. The pitman arm had a lot of play. All the tie rods were shot. It was bad. I've seen some bad ones, but this one was probably the worst I've seen in my life. And I've been turning wrenches since I was 16, 17 years old. And I'm 34 now, so that tells you how long it's been. I've done a lot of them. So I went ahead and decided we'll just start new. I didn't even really shake it down that much, look at what all was wrong. I just thought, you know what? We'll just order everything. All new upper control arms, lower ball joints, inner and outer tie rod ends, pitman arm, idler arm, everything. Just start over new. And ordered all that stuff from Rock Auto. Love that place. You can get good parts, dirt cheap. I think I've got like $250 and everything I ordered, and that's with shipping and everything to get it here. Would have been over $1,000 at the parts store in town. But got it in here last night, came out after work, backed it in the shop, put it up on jack stands, started tearing it apart. And like normal, when I tear into a project, find more stuff wrong. I noticed driving it to work a couple days last week, I kept hearing a clunking noise up here in this front end somewhere. When I pulled the wheel bearing off, the end of the CV axle about fell off in my hand. So, well, there's my clunking noise. Walked around, looked at the one on the passenger side. Boot was torn on it. All the grease is blown out of it. So I ordered 2 new CV axles for it. They'll be here next week. Went ahead and ordered new shocks. Meant to order a couple other things, and I forgot, but we'll get that later. That's no big deal. So we're going to get in here today and at least get what we can get done. Can't get it all done because I don't have the rest of the parts yet, but we're going to go ahead and get in here and start. We'll get the pitman arm, idler arm, all the steering components. Go ahead and get the lower ball joints in it. Luckily for me, they've already been replaced once, because if you guys know those early 90s Chevrolets, the lower ball joints and the upper ball joints both were riveted to the control arms. And them rivets can be a bear to get out of there. I did some for a buddy of mine here a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I never got the rivets out of the lowers. But luckily these have already been replaced, and when you replace them, they bolt in. So should be simple enough. Just pull the bolts out of it, pull it out, bolt the new one in. A lot less work that way. We hope. Famous last words, right? But anyway, we're going to get off here, go in there and open the shop up, and I'll show you what we're working with, and we'll get busy working. All right, guys, here she is. And I just realized I left the windows down on it last night. We had a raccoon in here the other day. I hope he didn't get up in the cab. Anyway, there it is. Like I said, we've already started working on it. But it's just your old basic old farm truck. Inside's not too bad. It's a little rough, but hey, it works. That right there was the main selling point on it. Love me a good old 5-speed truck. But anyway, you guys excuse the mess in the shop. We've got stuff slung everywhere. Anyway, as you can see, I've already got this side all tore apart. And yeah, I don't know how well you guys can see. It's kind of dark in here, but the old CV shaft, it's worn plumb out. But, and then I think I already threw it out here. Yeah, right there. There's what is left of the bushings and everything on that control arm on that side. I mean, it was due. It was bad. So anyway, let's go ahead and start. We'll probably go ahead and finish doing this side first. I'll get that lower ball joint out of there, and we'll get it put in, get the new upper control arm, probably go ahead and put the knuckle and everything back on it, get ready where we can put that CV shaft in when it comes in next week. But anyway, let's get busy. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it there. Right off the end of my finger is the idler arm. And I'm gonna go over and shake that other side, and hopefully you guys will be able to see just how bad some of this was. Lots of dirt and old grease on this poor thing. I was wanting to get the new lower control arms as well, because I'm sure the bushings in these are about half worn out too. They don't look as bad as the uppers did, but I'm sure they're not in the best of shape. And the shock mount on here on the other side is about worn plumb through. But when I looked, I could not find any any lower control arms for these trucks anymore. So I don't know if they just quit making them, or just places I was looking wasn't selling them, or what. But anyway, I'm gonna grab a brush. We'll brush all that off and we'll get that out of there. Did I bring an 18mm wrench out here? I'm not sure. I just grabbed what I thought I might need from work to do this. I don't have any metric tools out here in this shop hardly. Normally what I work on out here is just them old tractors and stuff, and the guy really doesn't need any metric tools. So I just brought what I thought I might need from shop there in town where I work, and I may not have grabbed what I needed, but hopefully I did. I did. I'm going to give a shout out to these guys too, Capri Tools. If you guys haven't tried their wrenches, their wrenches are the only thing I've tried, but I bought this set of wrenches here. It goes all the way from, I think 6mm up to 24, and I use them daily at work, and I love them. I don't need a wrench anyway. Yep, it's starting to turn. Yeah, I'm not a tool snob like some guys are. I mean, there's guys out there that'll say, "Oh, if you don't have snap-on tools, you know." I'm not a tool snob. I use a little bit of everything. Most of what I got out here is actually Harbor Freight stuff. A lot of Icon. I do the only tool that I use that I will only buy from Snap-on and hardly anywhere else is ratchets. I love my Snap-on ratchets. I mean, and these sockets I'm using right now, they're Snap-on, but they're older than I am. I bought them used from a buddy of mine. And they were, I think they're 1985 models. Oh, for crying out loud. As you can see here, I've got all kinds of goodies. Not sure what all this even is. That's a tie rod end. That's pitting arm. Another tie rod end. Tie rod adjusting sleeves. And that is the idler arm. I believe this. Those are new tie rods. New upper control arms. New lower ball joints. When you get these, they come with new bolts, of course. And any of you guys working on these, if you're working on one of these mid-90s, early to mid-90s 3/4 ton Chevys, you gotta be real careful ordering parts, because there's two options for these trucks. There's the 7,200 pound GVW and the 8,600. If you've got 6-bolt hubs, but it's a 2,500, you've got the 7,200 pound GVW truck. And some of the parts are a little different. So you've got to make sure that you order the right ones for what you're working with. This one is an 8 lug. It's the full 3/4 ton, 8,600 pound GVW. So. And it's just as simple as popping the new bolts in. And these have kind of a lock nut on them. So when they're tightened up, they shouldn't fall back out of there. Yeah, get a socket on them. Anyway, you guys get the idea. I'm going to get this bolted in, and I'll bring you back when we start on something else. No sense in you guys sitting there watching me just tighten bolts up. Okay, now we're going to pull the shock out of the way so that I can get in here and get the bolts out of the CV axle and be able to drop it out, because I don't think it'll fit through there with the shock in the way. It might, but looking at it, I don't think it will. Gee, money Christmas. Whew. Put the big ratchet on that dude. There she's turning. Do the same up top here. Golly. Oh, that freaking hurt. Wow. Boy, that bolt's in there. That dude is tight. Yeah, them old shocks are shot. gonna spray a little oil on this bolt up here, see if we can't get it to break free. But we'll go ahead and get that shock out of the way, and then we can drop that CV axle out. So I'll bring you back when we get the shock out of there. Okay, after a little persuasion and a lot of penetrating oil and a few minutes of cussing, we got the shock out. And yeah, it's it's about shot. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that those are an 11/16 bolt. GM back in the 90s drives me nuts. They couldn't decide if they wanted to use standard or metric hardware, so you better have a set of both. So I'm gonna go find a socket that'll fit those, and we'll see if we can get them broke loose and get them out of there. Okay guys, we're gonna cheat. Probably hear the air compressor running in the background. We're gonna zip these out with the impact. And I know, I'm a bad boy, chrome socket on an impact. But one, I don't have any standard impact sockets out here. And two, I think an impact socket would be too thick-walled to go get on those bolts anyway. So we're just gonna be a bad boy here. Go extension. There we go. That down out of there. All right. That's probably about as far as we can go on this side for now, till we get a CV axle and a shock. Oh, I could probably go ahead and stick the upper control arm in, but I think it would just be in the way. So we'll probably call it quits here and move around to the other side. Start on this side by zipping the tie rod nut off. After I grab the right socket. That one's a different size. The one on the other side was an 18. This one's an 19. And I do have pickle forks, but a lot of times I've found you can just smack the snot out of that right there and it'll just fall right off. Just like that. I normally hit them harder than that, but I didn't want to hit you guys with the camera, so. Okay. Now we can take the brake caliper off and take this bolt out here and let that brake line come loose. Take this nut off, pull the hub assembly and brake rotor off, and it's all just take the control arm loose, take the ball joint out, just like we did on the other side. I'm going to go grab another bucket to set this brake caliper on and get socket to fit this nut and my 3/8 Allen socket to fit these bolts here, and we'll get all that taken apart. Throw that bolt away. We got new ones with the new control arms. adjust the caliper just a little. These on the calipers on these are just a 3/8 Allen. That one's a little bit boogered up. That one may be a chore to get out. Yeah. Somebody really boogered up that lower bolt at one time. Probably put new hardware in these too. We'll do that later. Brake pads look like they're about brand new. We'll take this nut off, and then there's 4 bolts in the back here. I'll pull that hub off. And hopefully it comes off as easy as the other side did. And for that task, I don't have my 1/2-inch air gun out here, so we'll use the old faithful DeWalt electric impact. And they're a 36 millimeter. Wowza. Wow. That other one came right off, but that one sure doesn't want to. All right. Have to get a breaker bar and a cheater pipe on it and see if we can't break it loose that way. She winked. See if I can stand on this and fall on my butt today. There. Ah! All right, we're winning now. Woo! Over there. Kill the spider. That's loose. All right, awesome. And that was the next thing I was afraid of, was if that was going to be loose or not. Okay. I believe those are 15 millimeter. The socket right here. Yep. Already got the air compressor running, might as well just zip them out with the impact. rocks are hard on your knees, I'm telling you. Whew. Come off this side. Oh. Nope. Hey. You have to work it back and forth some. And it is getting humid in here. That's loose. There we go. And I do have the proper tool with a slide hammer to put on there and pull that off, and I don't do that on other people's vehicles, I promise. But I don't have it out here, and I didn't want to go back to town. So out here we work with what we've got sometimes. Dust shield out of the way so it don't get bent all to hell. Okay, if I can get my knees to work here. I've already pulled the cotter pins out of these, so they're both, should be a 24 millimeter nut. Yep. That wasn't as tight as I figured it would be. Just loosen both of those off, top and bottom. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That one bigger. Uh-oh. Oh. That's the problem that I don't like with aftermarket parts, is just when you think you know what you need, because the other side was a 24, this one's a bigger one. Hopefully I've got a socket or a wrench that'll fit that. It's a little loose, but it'll work, I think. Oh yeah. like to leave the nut started a couple threads so it doesn't just fall off of there. And then just take your trusty old hammer and smack the snot out of it. And I got a little bit of tension left on there. Let me jack that up a little. And that's got the upper loose. Just turn that around and smack it right there. There she went. Get the knuckle back out of the way. Now we can let this back off. There. Okay. Now, ow! Those rocks are hard on your knees, I promise you. Whew, that hurt. Anyway. Pull the rest of that out of there. It's all ripped all to hell anyway. There. I'll take us a 21mm socket. Pull our upper control arm bolts out. This is also where you adjust your camber and caster when you do your alignment. You can see there's a cam on there that rotates around and adjusts all that for you. Those look pretty good shape. Good thing, because I did not order new ones. That slipped my mind. I usually do, but I kind of forgot about it this time around. So. Just about trapped my ratchet in there. That one looks pretty good. We'll buff a little of the rust off of it, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. Pull that out of there. Throw it in the scrap pile in a minute. Okay, from here on out, it's about the same as what we did on the other side. Just pull the shock out, pull the CV axle out, and then we'll start pulling all the steering components out of it. So I'm gonna turn the camera off for a minute. We'll get this shock and the CV axle out. You guys have already seen me do that on the other side. Clean that up out of the way. And I'll bring you back when we, oh, and we'll go ahead and put the ball joint in here, but there again, you guys have seen that. So after I get all that done, we'll crawl underneath and start taking the steering components apart. All the tie rods and pitman arm, idler arm, all that. And we can go ahead and put that back together today. I've got all those parts. Alright guys, I don't know how well you guys will be able to see under here. I don't have the best setup for getting the camera underneath the pickup, but next thing we gotta do, I didn't even realize this had one on it until I just rolled under here. We gotta get this steering stabilizer shock out of there. order one of them too sometime. But we can go ahead and get it out. And I hope you guys can hear me all right. It got just too hot and humid in here. I had to turn the fan on, so I'll try to talk a little louder. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'll take this bolt here out, and then there's a nut down there on the other end, right off the end of my finger there. Get that out of the way, and then we can take right up here, just out of view, just the nut off the pippin arm and idler arm on the other side. Hopefully I've got enough air in the compressor to do this. Whoops. I'm pretty good at dropping wrenches. And bolts and nuts. We got something making a massive oil leak under here, and I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's, I know it leaks a little engine oil. I don't know if that differential's been leaking a little too, or we'll have to look into all that. But we'll do that later. Yeah, that probably needs to be replaced too. I'll get one of them ordered after a while. Okay, now we can come up here. You guys can see a little better about just how worn out this was now. Holy, I didn't even realize it was that bad. Ow! Don't do that. That hurt. Cotter pin out of the idler arm. Castle nut. And I think it's just out of view for you guys, but it's the same thing on the pitman arm. Okay. Now we can take those two nuts off. Wow. Talk about nasty under here. Ooh. Filthy. Now we can go back out there, get on with a pickle fork, and knock them loose. I do use pickle forks on these because you can't get a very hard swing with a hammer otherwise. So let's start the nuts back on and a couple threads to catch it so it doesn't fall completely out. Find the other nut. I just had it. Keep falling. There's just so much slop in that. It's not wanting to drop down. I'm going to go try the other side on the pitman arm. See if that works. If not, I may have to run back to town and get the attachment for the air hammer. Pitman arm popped right loose. That's good. If we can't get this one to come loose, I can drop, now that the pitman arm's loose, I can reach in here and pull the two bolts out of the idler arm bracket since we got to change it anyway. And we can get that down there where we can work on it a little better. We'll try this again. There, she popped. All right, awesome. A wise friend of mine once told me that there are 7 cuss words in every job. And the trick is, you got to get them 7 words in the right order. You get them 7 words in the right order, everything will go right together or come right apart, however you're trying to do it. So, in my head, I was going through them 7 words. I finally got them in the right order. So, now we can roll back under there and get the nuts off of it. We'll drop that down. And then we can knock the tie rods loose from the center link. And we'll get them built. I bought all new sleeves and everything for them, so we don't have to deal with trying to break these free and all that. It's just the sleeves were $3 a piece on Rock Autos. Bought new ones, we can thread them in and suck them down and just put the whole assembly in. So, I'm going to roll under there and get them nuts off after I get center link out of there. Oh yes, Lord. Smooth out. Smooth out. Wow. I honestly don't know how something didn't fall off of this thing going down the road. Good news is the bores in the center link look okay. Now we can take this up here to the back of the truck and be able to stand there instead of being down on our hands and knees. We'll build some tie rod ends. Alright, I got y'all set up here on the back of the truck where you can see what we're doing. We'll build one side, and then I'll turn the camera off and I'll build the other side. We need one adjusting sleeve, and one, that is an inner tie rod end, has a grease zerk on the inside of it right there. And then the ones in the blue box are the outers. Yeah, okay. if we were reusing these sleeves, I would take them loose and then count how many turns it takes to get this out, and then how many turns it takes to get the other one, count them back in. But since we're using new sleeves, and since this truck's going to get in alignment after we're done anyway, go ahead and put our locking collars on. Maybe. There we go. We'll go ahead and start our bolts in. We'll just take our inner tie rod, and we will thread it in. So we got to figure out which way it goes. Crooked. There we go. Yep. Had it and then I unscrewed it. There. We'll just thread this in, and I'll just hold it up here, and we'll get it somewhere fairly close. Like I said, this truck will have to go in for an alignment anyway. That's pretty close right there. Okay. Just thread the outer in. Pretty good right there. That's almost a pretty well an exact match to where it was. Like so. Alright, we've got a tie rod built. I'm going to go ahead and lock these down, and I'll start on that other side. We'll get it built. And we'll probably have to take it out to the welding truck, put the center link in a vise to be able to knock the old ones out, but that won't be a problem. So I'll bring y'all back when we get that done, and then we'll crawl back underneath and change the idler arm and pitman arm, and throw this piece back up under it, and we'll probably be done for today. All right, everyone. We got as much done as we're going to get done today, I think. It's hot, and I'm tired. This humidity just kills me. But we got the tie rods built. I took the center link out a minute ago, put it on the vise on the back of the welding truck, and knocked one of the old tie rods out of it, and then realized I'm out of brake cleaner. So I was going to clean up all the old grease and everything around where the tie rod goes on, clean that bore out real good where that taper sets, but I'm out of brake cleaner, so I'm going to have to run down and get a couple cans of that. And we've been at it for 5 or 6 hours now anyway, so I don't move too fast laying on the ground anymore like I used to. But I think we're just going to call this part 1, and part 2 we'll come back after we get the rest of the parts and everything. We'll finish putting the tie rods in the center link, change the pitman and idler arm. By then the CV axles and all that will be here, and we can just do it all at once and be done with it. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode while we're putting the old farm truck back on the road, getting it roadworthy again, because it wasn't, as you could tell. We do have some more work to do to it. If you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, I'll film what else we got to do to it. I've got to rewire the hydraulic pump and get it working better. Probably going to have to put a bigger alternator on it too. It pulls it down enough that it'll kill the truck just picking up the spikes, not even picking up a bale. So we're going to do that. And I've got a light bar I want to put on the front of it, get all the lights working, do a few other little things. So be watching for that. We'll be doing some more work on this. And coming up here, probably in the next couple, 3 weeks, we're going to do another Will It Start video. The guy that I traded this truck out of, we're moving a bunch of stuff for him from one place of his to another. And he's got a tractor out there that I'm going to take our tractor from work to the place there in town and use the loader on it to load a bunch of stuff. He's got implements, a couple brush beaters, 2 or 3 cake feeders, a bunch of panels. I don't even know what all's out there we got to get moved. But I'm going to take our tractor from work and use it to load stuff. And then he's got a little Massey 135 that hadn't ran in 5, 6 years. I worked on the carburetor about 5 or 6 years ago, got it running for him, and then he never used it, and it's been sitting there ever since. So we'll see if we can get it running and load it up, take it out to the other place where we're unloading all that stuff, and use the loader on the front of it to unload everything. So we'll do a Will It Start, kind of a revival video on that. Everybody seems to enjoy those. And then after we get this out of here, another friend of mine has a Farm All A that's got a bad steering gear in it. And I've got, right there is a new, not a new, but a good used steering gear box for a Farm All A that I pulled out of an old tractor back here in the back of the shop. So we're going to bring his tractor out here and get that put on. And eventually we are going to get the old 66 Ford running too, because I want to put my welder and air compressor and everything over on it. And we've got 5 vehicles now since we bought this one. And we don't need 5 vehicles around here. There's just the 2 of us. So we've got my welding truck, that 04 Ford. We got this pickup. We got our good pickup that I drove out here. And then we got that old wrecked one. And then the 66. We don't need all 5 of them. So my plan is to take all the tools and air compressor, welder, all that off the back of that 04 and put on that 66 sitting outside. Because I think I've drove that 04 maybe 300 miles this year. There's no sense of keeping it around. And for it just to sit out here, it cost me $300 a month in payments and insurance on it just to sit there. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close the shop up, turn the lights off, and head to town, start putting this video together. So I want to thank y'all for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate all the support. We'll see y'all next time.